Welcome to Mogul, the place where business, lifestyle, and possibilities collide. Hello, my name is Charity Smith. I'm Miss Mogul. I'm a business leader, global speaker, trusted economic development strategist, media personality, author, advocate, and lioness mom. We're taking you next door and around the world, conversing with business leaders about the news of the day, emerging business trends, and introducing your family to possibilities that will help you live life to its fullest. Listen, we're really excited about our special interest stories where we connect you with authentic faith, spirituality, and abundant thinking. Tune in right here, streaming live on this platform or on a mobile device near you. And listen, don't forget to subscribe to this show and discover the mogul in you. We're excited to connect with you, and we'll see you streaming live right here. Hello, everybody. It's Charity Smith, Miss Mogul. I am so excited about season 2 of Mogul Talk. Now, I see that we have a few people watching. I'm going to ask you if you'll start to share this feed. Tell everybody to chime in. Mogul Talk is back for season 2. And of course, we're streaming on JD3 TV as well as our YouTube channel. I'm going to ask you to go to Mogul Live TV. Make sure that you subscribe to that channel and hit the notification button so that you'll see all of our upcoming shows as they upload. What I wanted to do today is talk about our new series. So this is the month of February, where we talk about African American History Month, and we also talk about love and romance. And so in thinking about how best to serve our audience and jumpstart 2022 in a very powerful way, I came up with the series, or I should say, to be honest, I was inspired to develop this series called Our Love. You all, I'm really passionate about this one. In this series, throughout the entire month of February, we're talking to African American couples who have been married 20 plus years. Some of them are newlyweds, some are divorced, and some are married after being widowed. But I wanted to have this kind of comprehensive conversation about what is intimacy for us. What is love for us? How do we define it? How do we search for what really connects us? I really believe that there have been some historical, and we'll talk about this very candidly, some historical, some cultural obstacles to us coming together. What is it that made us work in the past, and how do we regain it to work now and give a legacy of love in the future? We'll address questions like this. Is it important that I marry inside my race? Does it even matter? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about intimacy versus sexuality. What's the difference, and how do men see it? How do women see it? How is it communicated in the faith-based community? We'll also talk about the necessity of a unified faith in the household. What are roles? Where we have, I believe, kind of broken apart is we don't understand our place in the scheme of things. And we can lay that back to, and we'll talk about this, you all. We'll go back to post-Atlantic slave trade. We'll move it forward to Jim Crow. We'll move it forward to civil rights and the women's lib movement. We'll take it to the church world where submission, come on, that's going to be a hot topic in this conversation as well, where submission has been misunderstood and misappropriated. We're going to talk about that. But we'll also talk about roles. How do we communicate our roles, and what is intimacy with us? We'll also talk about intimacy as we get older. Now, I don't know about you all, but in my general sphere of influence, I didn't see a lot of older couples still dating each other as they got older. I didn't see intimacy or hugging and kissing or dating or this kind of closeness. And I want to know where we lost that, but how do we get it back? And then how do we cultivate that and give that as a gift of our legacy to the next generation? I want to talk about, and we will talk about, the alpha male and female. How do we come together, two powerhouse personalities, and find balance and equilibrium? How do we address conflict resolution? So we'll talk about all of those things. And you all will also talk about love the second time around. Some of us didn't have the information we needed when we started out in this. And we've learned some hard fought lessons about love and commitment and passion and intimacy. What have we learned now? And how do we take the best of us and cultivate a lasting relationship? Now, you're going to hear some opinions given in this series that you may not agree with whatsoever, and that's fine. You may hear some religious or spiritual perspectives that you absolutely don't agree with. That's fine. But what we wanted, and by the way, let me just put this out here. I talked to a Muslim couple. I talked to Hebrew roots people. I talked to a Hebrew couple. I talked to Christian couples. So we tried to look at this from a more comprehensive point of view. And the reason, and again, let me just say this. I know we're not a monolithic people when it comes to faith. So you can keep all of that stuff. We're not talking about all of that. But what we are talking about is the necessity to build a lasting relationship on faith, submitting to principles that are what we believe are absolute truths and everlasting, period. How do we build upon that? And one thing you'll hear resonate with these couples is that they agree on their faith. They believe what they believe, and they build a relationship on that. We talk about submission. And see, I want to go back to this before the series because I want you to start thinking now about your relationships, the successful ones as well as the failed ones, and also outside the romantic world. How do you know? I want you to think about that. And so we had our guest, and I'm not going to give a spoiler alert, but he talked about submission from the male point of view. And he defined it like this. He said, submission is my wife coming under my mission and supporting it, not under in the sense that she's debased, but she becomes a support system. So what we got from that is that he had to have a direction, a plan, a strategy, an identity, a will for what the family looked like before he got married. And what we find out is that that definition and that mission changes over time, but it has to be something that has the agreement of the family. We talk about all of that stuff. And as alpha women, does that mean we hang up our accomplishments at the doors just because we're married? Does it mean we don't have a voice in the marriage? Does it mean we don't contribute to the success of the marriage? We talk about those things very candidly, and you're going to hear the experiences of my guests in that conversation. So you all, I want you to chime in. We will air every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on our YouTube channel, Mogul Life TV, on my LinkedIn page, Charity Quotes Ms. Mogul Smith, on our Facebook page, Master Your Morning with Ms. Mogul, as well as my personal Facebook page prior to uploading to JD3 TV. I really want you all to chime in on this. I'm not interested, you all, in debate for the sake of debate. The entire reason for this series is for us to find solutions, for us to rediscover our voices in love, to dispel what I believe is a toxic Western philosophy about love. It's not the white and shining armor or the black knight that's coming for you, ladies. That's a myth. What we discover in marriage is that people bring their brokenness and we combine it together, but there has to be a glue, a mortar that keeps us together. We're going to rediscover what that is. So I want you to invite people, whether they're already married, they're seasoned in their marriage, newlyweds, or considering marriage. I want you, or maybe not even considering, you may be divorced and you need to kind of rediscover what was my responsibility in the demise of the relationship. I don't believe it's one person. There's always a combined reason for why the relationship fails. Now, I want to say this as well. While you will hear in the series broad stroked comments about love and marriage and commitment and identity and gender and roles, We again are not saying that this is a monolithic conversation. What I am passionate about is that you begin to have these conversations within yourself and within your family about the pathology of our love and staying together. You cannot make me believe that the generations past are the only ones who can make it 50 years. Can't make me believe that. My grandparents stayed together a long time, but we're not interested in staying together for the sake of staying together. How do we have a healthy, growing, thriving relationship and pass on the pattern of that to the next generation? Regardless of what you believe your faith is, regardless of faith, faith is important. But regardless of that, how do we do that? Now, if you ask me how we do it, I have my recipe and I'll always give you my recipe. But I'm more so interested in you beginning the dialogue. If you have sons and daughters who are of marrying age, 20s, or if they're teenagers, it's time to start having these conversations. What have I modeled to you? Ask your son or daughter this if you have them, or your nieces and your nephews, whomever, your mentor, your mentees. What have you seen us model? And here is where, as the elders in our generation, we have to be now open to what we've heard. We've got to be ready to hear the feedback of that generation. And so we want to have these conversations. I refuse to believe that we can't stay together, that we don't know how to love each other, that we don't find beauty in each other, that we are people who are destined for divorce. Miss me with that. I reject the notion. I absolutely reject the notion. Now, what I have learned is that in this discovery, we may not have all the answers. We may not have all the tools, but when you start to ask the questions, you find the answer. It's not until you begin to ask the questions that the answer comes. But you can't afford to let pride keep you from the answer. So I want you to go on this journey of discovery with me. I want you to engage in dialogue. I want you to ask us and your spouse or your significant other, your fiance, whomever, start asking the hard questions. Why? It's the hard questions and the answers to the hard questions that predict our staying together. As long as we stay on the surface and we pretend like our men are not hurting, we're going to break apart. As long as we pretend that the African American woman does not have her own experience, her own hurts and pains, we're going to miss the point. As long as we don't address the tensions that come about in our relationships, we're going to miss the opportunity. We have to start asking each other the hard questions about love, about commitment, about family history and pathology, roles. We have to start talking about that because you all, our love is what's at stake. And here is what I believe in closing. Our love is worth fighting for. Our love is worth fighting for. Again, engage us in conversation. Share this video with those you know and love. Engage in the conversation. I would love that 10 years from now, somebody says, I saw that series or that video, and it was absolutely a turning point in my relationship. That's what we're after. Y'all, I'm almost at the point of tears about this because this is real for me. Statistically, our quality of health is better when love is in our relationships. Did you all know that? There is a physical benefit from loving each other. We last longer. We live longer. We have a better quality of life when we simply love each other. Engage again in the conversation. The series begins tomorrow. Tomorrow. The series begins tomorrow, February 2nd, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We will start out this conversation bright and early. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you have your laptop and your latte ready. Get your questions together. Get your comments together. Bring it all in. I'm ready to engage. And we at some point will bring all of this together and hopefully have some kind of town hall where we can come together and bring the dialogue in and come around the fire and really begin to engage one another about what it means to be Black, to be in love, and to be lasting. Join the journey with me. We'll start tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, bye-bye.